We're live. Good morning, painters. Welcome to another show, Learning Plein Air live on the patio. Hope you're doing good this Friday morning. I've got 3 or 4 tips for you this morning on how to finish a plein air painting strong. You know, finishing a plein air painting is especially rewarding, I think. You put a lot of effort into it. You've had some trials and tribulations after painting it throughout the painting, and you want to just kind of put those finishing touches on it. And I've got 3 or 4 tips on what I try to do, what I try to check off before I pack up my gear. And so we're here every Friday morning to help you stay motivated, educated on your plein air journey. So welcome. And let's see what we can, here's what we did last week. Let me just show you real quick. Last week we talked about how to paint more painterly, and really painting painterly is a style. It really is. You know, you think of Monet, you think of Sargent and Paul Cézanne and Van Gogh. And so this is what we ended up with. Did a little bit better with my proportions with the wine bottle. I know I try to zoom things in for you guys so you can see them, but on previous paintings that was too big. But I like some light and shadow here. These are mums, and I like the light and shadow on the mums. And so, I think it does kind of describe my style, painterly, a little bit messy, bordering on strategic chaos, if you will. But so, hey, if we're just meeting, haven't met yet, my name's Terry, and this channel exists to, as I said, to encourage plein air painters on their journey to help people get started in plein air painting, learn what it's about, and then improve their skills as they get started. All right, so I'm from Colorado, and my passion is plein air painting. So if you are joining us on the replay, welcome, and feel free to fast forward around. We have other videos on the channel as well with that are plein air landscape paintings of the mountains in Colorado. So enjoy those and feel free to subscribe. And if you're in the chat, say a quick hello. I want to make sure that you can see everything. We're outside and it's really bright. It's hard to get perfect lighting, but we're going to talk, have some coffee, have some fun, and just chill out and just encourage one another. But if you're in the chat, just say a quick hello. Hey, Bob. Hello from France. My goodness, I forgot you were in France. Talk about being inspired with painting. Hey, Bob, have you been to the Louvre lately? If I was in France, I think I might be going to the Louvre every day. I was there once or twice. But welcome, Bob. Appreciate you joining us. And here's our quote of the day. Keep us inspired. And see if you recognize this quote. I don't know if you've heard this, but whether you succeed or not is irrelevant. There is no such thing. Making your unknown known is the important thing. And that's Georgia O'Keeffe, a New Mexico artist and a famous artist. And I thought that was kind of interesting. We were talking last show about Taos, New Mexico, and Santa Fe, New Mexico, one of the art meccas of the United States. And I found that Georgia O'Keeffe quote, and I think it's so cool. It's pretty deep for a Friday morning, Friday evening if you're in France. But making your unknown known. I mean, to think that God gifted you with passions and an ability to paint, and then if you were to not paint, if you were to not bring that to the world, it's really one of the reasons I paint is to be a voice, to use my skills and abilities, and to put it out there, man. Part of it is you want to have fun, you want to make some beautiful paintings, but the other is, as Georgia O'Keeffe says, to make the unknown known. So make it known. Go ahead and paint. All right, that's our quote of the day. And today, as I said, we're going to talk about finishing. I got a lot done on this painting. I'm not quite where I want to be, but it's so fun to paint sunflowers. Don't know if you have lately, but wow. Tell you, all the colors and the shadows and the just very, very challenging. Haven't painted those in a while, but real fun for sure. And so as we get started here, I want to mention that this live stream is brought to you by the new Facebook group called Learning Plein Air Group, the Learning Plein Air Group. And that is a Facebook group that my wife and I started. I haven't been a huge Facebook guy in the past, but it's just another way where we can gather as a community and encourage and inspire one another. So if that interests you, just search in Facebook, the Learning Plein Air Group, and join up. And we'd love to hear from you. Say hello. So let's get going. Why if we're a plein air landscape painter, why are we painting on the patio? I kind of say it every show, but it's to learn how to draw and to learn how to see. We want to be in a controlled environment and practice our skills with shapes and colors and pieces. And we're going to go in the studio soon because this gorgeous Colorado weather is not going to last long. The Louvre, Bob, haven't visited for a year, but local museum in Bordeaux is excellent. Oh gosh, I'm sure that any museum in France is excellent. That's awesome. I'm jealous, buddy. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with this. We've got grapes. I know this doesn't look like grapes. I left this unfinished on purpose right here. And we've got a plum. I'm going to put some finishing touches on there and just talk to you about what I think about when I'm out in the field and I want to finish. And I want to finish strong. That's what I try to do. As I said in my newsletter, you know, I consider plein air paintings a work unto themselves, a finished product. Now, that doesn't mean that I always nail it and, you know, sell my paintings off the easel and have people clamoring for every painting that I make. However, you know, I do want to try to do 3 or 4 things as I finish up a painting. I'm just kind of seeing some darks here in these grapes that are real fun. Just light into shadow. And I just take my brush. You know, I made these grapes with different strokes, but you can use all kinds of different directional strokes with your grapes, but I see it really dark in here. But anyway, so I really try to, with a plein air painting, I really do try to finish it out there, man. I try to do my best and get a finished painting. I do sell my paintings, and so I'm trying, you know. I want to have fun, but I want to try to finish strong. So let's get into a few tips here as we paint. But I'm going to put the light side of this plum on because I haven't done that yet. And it's just a mixture. I don't always tell you guys this, but let's look at my paints real quick. I think you can see them. We've got phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, cobalt, cerulean blue, phthalo green. I take that off in the winter usually, but keep it in the summer. And then cad yellow light, cad yellow medium, cad orange, cad red, alizarin crimson, permanent rose, yellow ochre, titanium white, and I've got a mud puddle that I keep right here of different colors after I've done a painting. So I'm just using big strokes to put on the light side of this plum. And it's just, you know, plums are interesting because it's just such a deep, deep purple. Even the light is dark, you know, even the light is dark. So I've got some cerulean in there, cerulean blue, but the light is hitting it right there. That's more like it. I needed cerulean and titanium to hit that stroke right there. That's what I needed. Okay. And then I'm just going to leave that there for now. And I'm going to show you how we finish that. There's reflected light on that plum. The light coming in, there's reflected light here from the grapes. And so I didn't mix up this color, but I'm going to mix it up now with just some permanent rose, little titanium white, and maybe a little cerulean blue. And it's pretty dark, but like right there, that's too blue. So I need a little more red, a little more alizarin crimson. But when you're finishing, you know, it's these accents and these strokes like this, the finishing touches, working big to small. And the other thing is there's reflected light on the light side. And I see 2 colors. I see a cerulean blue and a titanium white, like right here. And this helps give form to the plum. Just that one little stroke. There's one there. There's another one right here on that side. And then there's a different colored one. I need more paper towels here. There's a different colored one facing the sun directly that's warmer. So I'm going to go with a little more red, permanent rose, titanium white, and then right there, just a quick right there. And then I can go in later and fix that. And then the stem, you know, I didn't really mix up for the stem, but just going to go into maybe some cad yellow light and titanium white, maybe a little yellow ochre, just for kind of like a little bright stem color. And just put that right there. Just a hint of it right there. So that looks pretty much done to me. And then we could, with the grapes. So let me give you tip number one. The one thing that I do when I'm getting done a plein air painting is I look and make sure I've got my darkest dark in place. And you've heard me talk about atmospheric curtains, the foreground, the middle ground, the background. Usually your darkest darks are going to be in the foreground, and they're going to be your boldest and your coldest colors, boldest and coldest. Remember that one. So what I do is sometimes those get covered up in the space of making some paint fly. Your darkest darks get covered up, but you got to have those, and it's the contrast, and so you got to have that in there. So that's what I would do with this painting. I was okay. Do I have my darks in, you know, with the grapes? And it's like I see a little more dark on the outside edges, like over here of the grapes, and so I see that right there that I might want to put in, you know, just to show the outline. I mean, already your eye's convinced, and I haven't done a whole lot of work on this piece, but just because of my light and shadow, your eye could be convinced that these are grapes, you know, little cerulean blue in here, because this is in really complete shadow, but it's getting some reflected light. So some of the grapes have that cerulean blue color, you know, that you see right there. And it just helps describe the form of these grapes in shadow. I like that. Now, the way I would finish these grapes, there's stems. You may not be able to see them, but there's stems in there. And there's some in light and some in shadow. So let me do the light ones first so you can see them. And I just got a light mixture of some green. But like up here, there's a stem, like right there. And then it comes down there. And then some in here. I'm just going to make that even brighter, a little more cad yellow light, a little more titanium white. And then just kind of make this punch a little bit more right there. Right there. And then I just want to pick up this stem runs throughout the whole grape, obviously. So you can see it hitting the light at various points. And so I just want to show that, like kind of discontinuous broken lines. So I don't know if you can see that, but I just did some real bright stem colors like that. And then that would be a finishing stroke right there, you know? So just leave that in. And then I would do the dark part next to it, like where it loses the trail, so to speak, you know, or next to this light, just show the dark of the stem in there, in these kind of deep recesses of the grapes, you know. And you don't want to overdo it, you know, just you don't want to overdo it. And there's some back in here, like right around here. And then that'd be enough. And I'm convinced right there, I can see some nice, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but okay, so one more thing with these grapes is kind of fun. This is kind of my favorite part of fruit painting, is the highlights on the grapes. And some of them are like this cool cerulean blue, titanium white, you know, like right there. See that? And then right there, just to describe the form. And not every highlight is the same, like, you know, shape. Like, don't just dab it repeatedly. It's going to look different on each grape. And then there's some back in here and back here. And so you just want to put a few of those on, but then there's some that are different colors, right? So not all the highlights are the same color. So I'm going to go into I'm going to go into titanium white and cad yellow light. And right here, where the ones that are in sunshine, they're catching like this different highlight on them. So I just want to put those in there. And there we go. And that kind of looks more realistic to me with the grapes, you know. And here we can kind of blend and blur a little bit because those highlights are looking a little, you know, a little too obnoxious maybe. But so that's my tip number one for you, is you got to look for your darkest dark and then punch it in just really quick with a few strokes. And let's keep moving here. And we can maybe work on the sunflowers a little bit. But my tip number two for you is the lightest light. So you want to look for your darkest dark and then your lightest light when you're out doing a plein air landscape oil painting and you're finishing up. And you know where I'm going with this. It's all about contrast. You know, for me, man, that's all I really think about in my paintings. How can I create contrast through color, value, temperature, lines, edges, shape? And when you put a light next to a dark, you create contrast, and that creates interest, and that creates people to want to buy your paintings, at least to want to look at them, you know. But that's why I always look for my darkest dark and then my lightest light, because they get covered up. And with your lightest light, here's my suggestion for you, is exaggerate it. I mean, I know I'm an impressionistic painter and I'm a little bit messy and a little bit of a colorist. And you don't have to be, that's okay. But try to push your lights a little bit and exaggerate them, you know, make a statement, you know, say something bold, you know, create an emotion with those lightest lights. I mean, don't just make some chalky little light color for your lightest lights. You know, it's about the light next to the dark. Okay. So where else can we go? There's I see a little bit of reflected light as I'm just kind of looking at this plum right there on the bottom. So that's something that we could do. And then don't forget your core dark, which is where there is no light underneath these fruit. When you do a fruit still life, it's that core dark, or a part of the plum might be a core dark where no light gets in. So don't forget that. And that would be underneath the here. This is kind of chaotic mess. You want to just kind of keep this simple. That was hard to do. You've got this vase with light on it, and you got things inside, and you got water. Don't overdo it. Just kind of keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Just keep that simple. And we could. So I purposely made the background a little bit darker, than it actually is, to create some contrast back here. You might want to put in the complementary color of the sunflowers, which are kind of yellow and orange, which would be blue and violet. So back here, I could just put in some hints of violet and blue, back here, just to have fun. Just to, if you watch that greens video I just put out, it was about simultaneous contrast. Simultaneous contrast is your eye is looking for the complementary color. And whenever you look at a painting or a photograph, it's looking for it subconsciously. So put it in, give the viewer what they want to see. Put some reds, put some purples back there, and just make this abstract, man. Just make it abstract. Use your palette knife if you want. But I like that, I like that. So let's look at these sunflowers as we talk about finishing. There's one more thing that I look at, one or two more things I try to do, but I'm just looking this over and just seeing how could we finish this and kind of punch it a little bit. But the third thing that I do that's really, really important when I'm finishing up a plein air landscape painting is you don't want to finish tired, and the tendency is to be tired and to pack up, want to go home, spend a long day. Maybe the lights changed and you just want to kind of say, I'm done, but don't do that. Stay in it to win it. All right. So your last stroke's got to be brief. It's not about endless rendering and, touching up and just keep over modeling. And you want to stop that. You just want to stop, step back, look at your painting from a distance, take a deep breath for a minute or two and get another second wind is what I'm trying to say. And then go after it, and then do a gusto of a couple little strong accent punches of color or strokes that you want to put on to make your final statement and tell people, hey, this is what it felt like to be there. And so with these sunflowers, we could take, I could do that. We could take a big old brush here. This is pretty much one of the biggest brushes I got. And I could dip into, we could just pick a sunflower, like maybe this one. And then, by the way, my sunflowers have been dying. I picked these at a friend's house, and when I started painting them, that's why I had such a rough blocking. When you saw that picture that I put out to advertise the show, it was a pretty rough painting because my flowers, as soon as I started painting them, they were dying, man. So I had to get them in the house and try to rescue them. So I was kind of painting the start of this painting by memory, and even now they've about had it, but there's some nice light catching those things. So what we could do is right here, we could just really try to say, hey, I want to accentuate the dark and the light right here and really make a statement that these sunflowers were in the sun and they were just beautiful catching this light. And I could dip into like pure cad yellow light and just get a big old scoop like that. And then I could just, as I'm finishing, just make a strong statement and just kind of go like this right there. Boom, like right there, and just make a couple of those. You don't want to overdo it. Just a couple, right there. And that's enough right there for that area. That's all I would do, just to go over that again and just to make a bold statement there. So that's the other thing that I do when I'm finishing up a painting. And I hope that helps you. If you have other ideas, let me know in the comments of how you would finish a painting strong. But those are kind of the basics of how I do it, And then what I would want to do is put some more darks in here around the sunflowers. So I could go into some ultramarine blue and I could go into some green, phthalo green, or just make a deep, rich green color. And again, just try to accomplish the same thing. At the top of the vase here, the flower, the stems and everything are really, really dark. So like right here, I can form the sunflower shape of the petals by using the dark and drive it into the light. That's kind of what I'm doing here. And then just kind of go like that. and just kind of find some of those darks that were right in there. And that's one thing I could do. And then, there's more light right here. So I could do the same thing that I did on the other one. I'm going to go into Cad Yellow Medium this time. Pure Cad Yellow Medium. I'm not going to mix it because I want my boldest, most vibrant colors here for the end. And right here, this could be kind of fun to do this right here. Show a petal hitting the light coming out from the sunflower. Let's see if we can do this right here. I'm just gonna go for it, man. Like that, And maybe another one like right there. I like that. So just make it real thick right here. And then I kind of turn my brush a bit and go in. And that really looks like the sun's kind of catching the petals right there. And then what you do is go back into your dark, okay, and go underneath it, like right here. After the tablecloth, it's all shadow. So then I can just surround that a little more and create that contrast right there of dark and light. So that's kind of what I'm thinking when I finish it right there. And then I can even punch it more and go into Cad Yellow Light. It's a cool, bright yellow color. And just put it on the edge of these petals, like right there, where the sunlight is just catching it right there. And that's a nice effect too that we can do. Just thick paint, just right there. Just have some fun with it, like that. Don't be shy. Have fun with it. I like that. That's kind of turning out nice. I tell you what's really hard is to paint the inside, the seeds, because there's so much going on in there. But what I did was I used alizarin crimson, a little cerulean blue. I do my quorum. You ever heard me talk about my quorum? You mix a warm and a cool together. So you get a warm puddle and a cool puddle, and you take your brush and you take a few strokes through it, and that's your quorum. And so when something looks warm and cool, that can be an effective way to do that. And right now I'm seeing some sun right in here. So, you always, as a plein air painter, you always want to, I'm a light chaser. So it's okay to chase the light, to follow it as it changes. And you could do that like right here. There's some light on the seeds. You could just show that coming in there like that. And that's something you could do. And then some of these seeds with alizarin crimson, some of these seeds are real dark. So right next to it, again, to create contrast, just the darkness of these seeds. Same thing right here, just a dark stroke. And then again, right here, right there, just pure alizarin crimson. I should have mixed that with something, but hey, it is what it is. And we could refine this plum a little bit more. And as we kind of look at this painting, say, okay, what can I do to kind of finish this? There's a couple highlights on the vase that we could look at. Cerulean blue, titanium white, right here. And then just put this on kind of right here, just to show that that's a vase. I like how that looks. It makes it look a little more realistic. The vase has some kind of glass design on it. And so that's just, it's catching some light. And so right there, it's kind of real cool. So I don't want to overstate it, but like right there, and I could leave it there. And then if I felt like that was too rigid of lines, I could take my palette knife and just go up or over and smooth it. It's something I could do like that. So let's see what else we can talk about here to help you finish a painting strong. I just noticed that some of the petals fell. It's like you could just choose to just throw in, one of these petals right here, the sunflower petals. There's another one over here, right there. And then what's fun is just the shadow of it, like right here, showing that shadow of the petal. Isn't that nice? Right here, it's just this deep purple, and you got complementary colors, the purple and the yellow. Kind of like that. I could leave that or I could scrape that off, but that's kind of fun right there. The tablecloth we could work on a little bit. The sunflowers, I could keep modeling those and overworking those, but I'm just going to kind of leave those. And I think one thing we could do is just brighten up the tablecloth just a little bit. So titanium white, and a little cad yellow medium, and just kind of get that, and just some big kind of bold strokes, especially around the plum, which is so dark, just to kind of shape that plum a little bit. So that's something we could do. And then back here as well, to shape the vase, I can take the light and I can dig it into the vase like this, and I can just shape that a little better, because the vase, the vase has kind of curves to it. And then back here, light and dark, punch that a little bit, maybe right there to show that. And same thing right here, maybe right there, just a little brighter, kind of some light and shadow effects right there. And now we have some more contrast. That's what that did right there, is it just created more contrast by punching the lights and the darks. And let's see what else that we see in here that we could do to finish up with. If you guys have some questions, throw them in there. And again, welcome if you're joining us on the replay. Terry with Learning Plein Air, and we're just studying our tips and techniques to help us become better plein air painters. And I'm just kind of looking at this and looking it over and seeing what else we could do. There's some petals we could do up here that are catching light. They're kind of this beautiful green, yellow color. And we could just put a few of those in up here. I really don't want to overdo it, but we could do one. There's one popping in up here, that we could do just right there, just to show that there's petals on these sunflowers like that. But I'm probably going to leave it there. And my grapes, we could spend a little more time refining these grapes for sure. But I like how they turned out. Real fun to paint those. So challenge yourself and try to do a still life like this, and at least paint one thing. Put a plum on a table and try to paint it, So, all right, Bob, how long would you say you were working on the sunflower painting prior to the live broadcast? Okay, so I worked on it probably a total of about, maybe 2 hours or so. And I think I did it on I think it was Wednesday, maybe I started it, and I tried to do it at the same time so that when I'm painting the live broadcast, the lighting is the same. But like I told you, I had to split and get back in the house, get the sunflowers back in the house. But I did keep painting, and I painted by memory. And so you probably see a little bit of a difference. I mean, I don't love it. I like to do some things different with that next time, but I do like how impressionistic it is. I like the thick paint, the thick strokes. Here, I'll give you a close-up view, but about 2 hours or so, Bob, does that answer your question? And so we did about a half hour here. So I'd say maybe 2.5 hours, because I worked on it about a half hour the other day as well. And but it was real fun, and I love painting sunflowers. And I really think of sunflowers as like a fall kind of a thing. But I'll bring this up close so you can see. I know the lighting is hard, but I want you to see some of those thick strokes. Can you see how thick that is? Like the paint's really coming off the canvas there, but that's what's so fun about it. And that ought to work for that. So I'd probably leave it. I'd probably sign it and call it a finished painting. Although when stuff sits in my studio and it's on the easel, it's in the danger zone, man. It's always in danger of getting touched up. But really, that's kind of what I want to convey about today's point about finishing a painting strong is it's not about endless rendering and painting every petal and every seed. And it's really, think about the big picture. Think about your lights. Think about your, you accomplished a lot. Yeah, thanks. I'd like to, like I say, I'd like to have another run at that. Maybe we'll paint sunflowers another time. It really, really is complicated because you got all these reflections inside here and petals that are in light and in shadow. And I think we could have done a little better with this right here. We could have done something a little more unique, maybe, in there. And as we're talking, maybe I'll just try to put in a couple other strokes, But I see more yellow in there today than I did, on previous days. So maybe just like that, just kind of more some bold yellow colors. And it doesn't even have to be the shape of a petal. You can just put the broad color in there, you know, to kind of show that color. So that was our point about painting more painterly is you can paint brushstrokes in any direction. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I guess we could wrap that up there and call this a painting, and join us next week for another live. Join that Facebook group if you haven't already, and I would love to see you guys there. And I will put this video up here that we just did, how to see a mixed greens, or I guess the title of it there is Before You Mix Greens on Plein Air Landscape Painting. Watch this. And so I'll put that up here. Click on that video, and I'll see you over there next. Thanks for joining me. Take care. God bless.